Right. And I'm going to start recording this session now. Great. Hi, everyone. Very warm welcome to everyone joining this Zoom meeting, and also to those who may be joining us on the YouTube live stream. We hope that everyone's keeping well, and we're happy that you were able to join us for this MOOC live session. We also hope that our MOOC has been an inclusive space for you to learn and grow over the past few weeks, and that you've been able to learn something from each other as well. It's given our team immense pleasure to see such a diverse group of active participants, as always. We're very excited that you're all here, and we've greatly enjoyed reading your comments and understanding the nuances of different pronunciation difficulties. And we also admire your efforts to show up for the course and to keep developing. So today's session is with our educator and our mentors, and also some special guests. And this session is just meant for you to see who is behind the scenes, to be able to meet us, to also answer some of your questions that some of you have so kindly sent in. And we also have a certain surprise for one of our insightful participants as a way of thanking you all for the community that you help to grow and to foster, and that really helps you to inspire each other as well. So first I'll introduce who all of us are. So I'll start with myself. My name is Alyssa Kemps, as you can see on the screen probably. I am a VU alumnus, so I studied my bachelor's degree at the Vrije Universiteit in Amsterdam in communication and information science. I specialized in linguistics and also in some sociolinguistics research, which is what brought me to the MOOC as both a mentor and a research assistant. I've been with the MOOC for about 2 years now, and I've been very grateful and very lucky to have worked with Laura, and also with Amrita Das, who some of you may have seen on the MOOC interface, answering some of your comments or some of your emails over the past weeks. Unfortunately, Amrita is not able to be with us today due to some unforeseen circumstances, but she extends her warm regards to all of you as well, and I'm sure she's sorry to miss out on the session. And now I would like to ask Laura Rupp if she would like to introduce herself.
Yes, thank you very much, Alyssa. So I'm Laura Rupp. I'm from the Netherlands. I work at Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam. I'm a senior lecturer there in English language and linguistics. So this means that I teach courses at Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam at bachelor level and also at master's level. Courses in global English, so there we look at the spread of English around the world, so factors in the spread of English around the world, and also a regular course, pronunciation. As you will have seen, in addition to this, I've created this MOOC, the online course, English pronunciation in a global world. It was the first time ever that I designed a MOOC. And I have been so happy to see that many people have joined us, again, also for this facilitated run. And I'm very happy because this, I think, shows me that the material that we have in the MOOC is useful, but I'm also very happy about it because we can actually learn from our learners, so the input that you provide, and we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Laura. And we also have some other mentors in addition to myself who are here with us today. So I'd like to ask Erica if she would introduce and tell a little bit about herself.
Of course. Hi, everyone. Again, you've probably seen us all popping up in comments, but my name is Erica Costa. I am currently finishing my degree at the VU in language learning and language teaching, along with some minor work with computational things and a little bit of language in the mind. But it's always a pleasure to have these meetings, and we're really glad that everyone was able to make it today.
Great, thank you so much. And then we also have Sophia, if she would like to introduce herself.
Sure. My name is Sophia. I'm from Argentina, and I am also a student at the Vrije Universiteit of Amsterdam. I am currently almost finishing my bachelor's degree in English literature and society. And well, this was the first time that I participated on the MOOC run, and I have to say it was a lot of fun, and I can't wait till the next one.
Thank you. And then we have finally with us as a mentor today, Annelotte.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Annelotte Adriaanse. I'm also a student at Vrije Universiteit, and I'm in my last year of the Bachelor of Communication and Information Studies, where my specialization is in language and media. And so this was also my first facilitator run as a mentor, and I'm very honored to work with such a great team, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity. It has been really great so far interacting with learners, and yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Annelotte. And then we have two special guests with us today. So I would like to ask if Mascana, if maybe you would just like to briefly introduce yourself, just so our listeners and watchers know who's here.
Hi everyone, I'm Mascana from Indonesia. Actually, my background is accounting, but I have been learning English for many years, but my English speaking is not really well, but so I'm working on my speaking, and I decided to join this course.
Thank you so much. And then we also have Tanya here with us today. So Tanya, maybe you would like to just introduce yourself briefly.
Yeah, sure. That's my pleasure. So hi, this is Tanya, and I am from India and currently pursuing sociology honors from JNU, India only. And this MOOC is something very interesting for me, because it was just a collaborative effort for my university with VU, and then it's like I'm just enjoying it a lot. So yeah.
We're super happy to hear that. Thank you. And we will also hear some more about that later on as well. So we're super happy you could join us today. So the way that these sessions are set up, we like to see it as an opportunity for you to also pose questions to our educator, Laura Rupp, in real time. So we always like to begin with the Q&A section. So that's what we're going to get started with now. And we're very lucky to have Mascana here with us live. She sent us in some questions that she would like to ask Laura. And I would actually like to ask her if she would like to pose those to Laura herself at this time.
Yes, I will ask Laura myself.
Great, thank you.
I have several questions I want to ask. First, I want to ask about the strategy to differentiate the pronunciation of F and P if it's contained at the end of the word, such as in believe, and lie. And second, I want to know more the differentiation between American R and British R. Despite knowing British English has an alveolar approximant and American English retroflex approximant, I cannot really tell its differentiation. And last, is there tips to pronounce Z at the end of the word, like lace, loose, and eyes? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mascana, for your questions. They're very difficult, intricate questions you're asking me. So just to make sure that everyone heard your question, not because of your pronunciation, but just of the sound. I'm just going to repeat the question. So the first question you asked me was about the pronunciation of f and v. You said in words like, so you had minimal pairs like believe and belief, and live and life, for instance. And so from your question, so I assume that you already know, so that the use of v and f, that it depends on whether the word is a noun or a verb. Is that right? So you're already aware of that. Yeah, and I think it's a very nice question because it's an example of similar patterns that we find in English. So where the word is more or less the same, but the pronunciation is somewhat different depending on whether it's a verb or a noun. So depending on the category of the word. And so you also have stress differences, like for instance, conduct and to conduct, and other pronunciation differences like to graduate, but that is a verb, but you have a graduate as a noun. And for you, and so you're asking about really the ending of words, depending on whether it's a verb to believe or a noun belief. Yeah, so I'm assuming that you're aware of the fact that the word final consonants differ and that you're asking me how to pronounce them. Is that correct? Yeah, that is correct. So they're actually very, very similar. And maybe that's why it's difficult. So they have a similar manner of pronunciation. So we place our upper teeth on the lower lip, like, and so the v sound has an additional property, and that is that we make our vocal folds that we have in our larynx here, that we make them vibrate. So you make an additional movement with your vocal folds, and you should feel it resonate in your oral cavity if you put your hand here. So, and then it makes a little bit more sound. Can you feel that?
Yes, I can feel that.
So it's belief and in believe. So you actually make the additional sound with your larynx here, but you can feel it, I think, the best here when you place your hand here.
Thank you, Laura, for the strategy. I think I know it now.
Yeah, was that helpful? Okay. The other question was a good question. So you asked me about the difference in pronunciation regarding R between, let's say, English English and American English. And English English, you already said, using all these linguistic terms, so it's an alveolar sound. So in English English, we raise the tip of our tongue towards the area behind our front teeth, R. And I think the main difference with English English and American English is that with American English, strong American English accent, the tongue, the body of the tongue is much more in the back of our oral cavity. I'm going to try and do it in an exaggerated manner. R. Yeah, so your tongue is much more in the back. So maybe we should ask Erica, although I'm not sure, because Erica is originally, did you know this, from the United States, New York even. So I don't know, Erica, so I haven't thought about your R, but do you have like quite a retroflex R? Could you pronounce your R?
Yeah, sorry. I really love these questions. I think I've commented many times in other runs that I love a question that makes me quietly repeat words to myself. So yeah, it's very raw. Raw.
Yeah, so your tongue is much more in the back of your oral cavity of your mouth than with the English English. R and R.
Yeah,
as if you're kind of swallowing your tongue a little.
Yeah, so it feels like the tongue is slightly cupped and pushed up towards the back. R.
Yeah. Yeah, Mascana, could you at least hear the difference?
I think the difference, American R is stronger than British and it's clearer.
Mm-hmm. So could you try and pronounce the two variants yourself?
First, American R. R. R.
Exactly that. And now English English?
And the British R.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and then you had another one of these, let's say, more technical questions. So you asked me about the pronunciation of z in plays and loos and eyes. So again, I need to ask you to clarify that you're asking me how to pronounce that sound.
Yes, I
And not,
asked,
yeah, and not how to recognize the sound. So where you find it in words, you know that, but how to pronounce it.
yes, if I listen it, I know the difference, but I hardly pronounce it. I have a difficulty to pronounce it.
How to pronounce it. Yeah, okay. And so actually it's very similar as with the f and v difference. Very, very similar. So in the, we're going to take two sounds, they're exactly the same. So s, and then to turn that into a z, again, you're using your vocal volts. And I think you can really feel it with z. So s and z.
Okay, I know. If I say the words, I feel it here.
Yeah, can you pronounce it for me?
Yes, I'll
So-
try.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And they're good questions. So it's good to because there were more questions like that where people say, I find it difficult to pronounce, or I find it difficult to hear the difference between two sounds. And then if that is, and frequently people find it difficult to hear because they're not used to those sounds from their own native language. And so then what we need to do is we need to then think about how we actually pronounce those sounds. So what speech organs we use. And with you, I think many of the questions, or two of the questions, had to do with using your larynx, so the vocal folds in your larynx. So s and z and f and v. Yeah, but you can do it. You just showed us.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Mascana. And it's such a pleasure to have you here to be able to ask your questions to Laura in real time. So I think everybody watching will really appreciate and benefit from these questions as well. And further to this, we also had, so as mentors going along throughout the weeks, we sometimes select some of the questions that we think will also be beneficial for participants to hear about during the live session and for them to hear Laura answer them. So we have selected a few, and I would like to ask if Sophia, who has been a mentor throughout the past few weeks, would like to pose the question that she has selected from the run to Laura at this time.
Sure. So during the second week of the course, we focused on vowel sounds. And there was a comment left there saying, when I say pen versus pan, there is a clear difference between them. But in the beginning, it's harder to understand the difference between head versus had. How can you make sure that you make this distinction properly? And do you maybe have any tips on how to articulate the trap vowel?
Okay, so that's also a very good question. And again, it's actually, I think, similar to Mascana's questions that are quite like a kind of technical questions. So exactly how to pronounce particular sounds. So it's about the difference between what's in the course indeed is called the trap vowel and the dress vowel. And so I understand from the question that was asked that it's more straightforward in particular minimal pairs, as in pen and pen, than in other. Yeah. So I think it may just be the case that so to pronounce particular English pronunciation features, that it's easier for a person individually when that feature occurs in a particular word. So for instance, when I practice at the university, at VU University, with students who would like to have a non-rhotic accent, non-rhoticity, then they find it, for instance, difficult to do that in the word speaker. So that's very difficult for them to not pronounce R, but in the word university, it's much easier. So it may indeed depend on the word a little, and perhaps also on other sounds that we find within the word. And so again, if we think about how to pronounce the dress vowel, so e and trap, the vowel that we find in words like trap. So it has to do, so again, they're very similar sounds. It's if you do not have them in your native language, and it's in the first instance difficult to hear the difference. So they're very similar sounds, except that in the case of the trap vowel, we have our jaw in a much more open position than in the case of the dress vowel, so e. So it's much more open. And sometimes I also find that students, when they start to think about the trap vowel, that they tend to pronounce everything with trap. So even the dress words, like to say head and head so the same pronunciation for that minimal pair. And then I always suggest so not only to think of pronouncing trap with your jaw more open, but also dress with your jaw somewhat more in a close position. So had is much more open, and head, you really hardly move your jaw. So this is what I would suggest. So to not only think of trap as an open vowel, but also as in had, but also to think of dress as a much closer vowel, head.
I think that is very helpful because I believe that this sort of sounds, particularly the trap vowel, is not very common in Spanish, Portuguese, for example. And I think those were mainly the people that were commenting about this vowel.
I see, but also for instance, in the Netherlands, it's a vowel that we do not have it in Dutch. So in the Netherlands, so it's a vowel that Dutch speakers struggle with a lot. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Sophia. And thank you, Laura, for answering that question. And I see now that we have had, we've had a question or two questions come in on the live from YouTube, which are from Perry, and he also sent them in via email. So I would like to ask these questions to Laura now. So the first one is, how does diction affect accent? And the second one is, I focus on my mistakes more when I speak English. This makes me stutter. Any practical guide to help me?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself there. I was immediately alerted in this on a message in the screen. So, yeah. So I would like to start with the second question. This is what I was saying. And then see if we have time left for the first question, and otherwise I will send a written response to the first question.
Sure.
Second question, I think it's a very important question, actually. So I would like to spend some time on it. I focus on my mistakes more when I speak English, and then what I would like to say to this is that I'm very happy that you are speaking English, because some people are so worried about their mistakes that they don't speak English at all, or that they do not dare to speak English much. So I find that even within the Netherlands, so amongst students who are native speakers of Dutch, for us to speak English, it's more straightforward than for Tanya, for example, or for Mascana, because Dutch and English, they're relatively similar, much more similar than the language that you speak, the languages that you speak in English. So I salute you for the English that you speak. But as I was going to say, even within the Netherlands, so Dutch students in my class, sometimes they don't dare to speak very much because they're so worried about the English that they speak, the accent, but also making mistakes. And perhaps this is because they have very high expectations, because much is expected from Dutch speakers speaking English, because it's always said, oh, we can speak English so very well. So that is the first thing that I would like to say. So I'm happy that you speak English at all. And then I can perfectly understand that you are worried about making mistakes. First of all, I'm thinking, how many mistakes do you actually make? Because again, sometimes we think that we make many mistakes, or we're very critical about our own English accent. Whereas actually, if somebody like me would look at it, then perhaps there are not as many mistakes as you think. But I think it's very, it occurs in many people that they start to think about their English too much, and this is what makes them stutter or makes them become very hesitant. So it actually makes it worse thinking about the way that you speak English. And so you're saying, so you're worried about your mistakes, and I hope that it's clear from the course that not all features that are, not all English features that are not English natives, native English features are mistakes necessarily. So in the course, we very much focus on features that maybe make it difficult for a hearer to understand you, or that may bear on the way that you're perceived. But otherwise, we think that for you to have your own English features, that is actually nice because it's part of who you are. So first of all, we need to think of what are mistakes, as a matter of fact. And then I would just say, I would strongly encourage you to try not to think of mistakes. The other day I had a student, she's actually a Dutch native speaker, and they wrote a self-assessment form, and she said, actually, I'm not worried about making mistakes because I learned from my mistakes. And I thought that was so nicely said. And so only by practicing, you will further develop your English speaking. And I know I can perfectly understand that it's scary sometimes, so that you're worried. But I would like to encourage you and also say to you, perhaps you're not making as many mistakes as you think you do. I don't know, perhaps one of the mentors could, Alyssa and Erica are native speakers, but maybe Anna-Lotte and Sophia, have you ever been worried about your English accent, or do you know people who are?
I know I used to be very worried about my accent, especially in high school, where, as you said before, the expectations were kind of high to really speak, like, because we had like more of a British focus. It was very like, you have to sound like a British person. And I think over the years, especially now that I'm in university, where there are a lot more international students as well, I've kind of let go of having this one specific accent, and I'm more comfortable speaking the way that I do now. So yeah.
Yeah. And I also wanted to say, Perry, if you wanted to a little more practice, then you could always reach out to us, and we will speak English with you if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Laura. And thank you, Perry, for asking these questions and allowing others the opportunity to benefit from the answers as well. And we actually have one last question from our mentors. So I would like to ask if Anna-Lotte would like to pose the question to Laura that she selected from the run.
Yes, and so the question I selected was, I would like to understand in more detail to distinguish the sounds of consonants V and W. As from the previous exercises, it is not yet clear to me, and it's hard to know which one the speaker is actually referring to in a conversation.
Okay, so thanks very much for that question. And it's, I think, really a nice illustration of how it seems that people have been thinking a lot about actually how to pronounce particular pronunciation features. And so in the question, it is said it's not yet clear, it's hard to know which one the speaker actually is referring to. So I think listening to the exercise, actually which one is pronounced, the or were. And I mentioned, I think before, in relation to another question, that this is that this is very difficult if your own native language does not make this distinction, because then you're just not used to hearing that distinction. But with f and w, I think, yeah, so there's perhaps one thing to bear in mind that makes it easier to pronounce the difference. So in English, w, that sound really is pronounced with a lot of lip rounding, different than in Dutch, as a matter of fact, but you have rounded lips when pronouncing English. W, as in where, for example, and that is not the case for f, for v, where the lips are not rounded. And again, so the so I talked about this in relation to Mascana's question as well. So we have the upper teeth on the lower lip, and actually the lips are more spread, they're not rounded. So in order to make the distinction, I would focus very much on lip rounding in the case of w.
All right, thank you so much, Laura, and thank you for the mentors and for the guests for posing your questions at this time. And we hope that this Q&A section of the live will either answer some questions that you may have already had or inspire you to practice in certain ways. And so I'd like to pass the floor to my fellow mentor, Erica, and she's going to talk a little bit actually and with Laura about mentorship and how actually we would like to have more people involved with the mentor program. As you can already tell from this live session, having guests and having people involved in the MOOC who have different native languages than ourselves also provides a wealth of information for us in understanding and how to better facilitate those speakers. So if you will, Erica.
Absolutely. So welcome, Tanya. We're so pleased to have you joining us for our live session today. So Tanya has joined us for this facilitated run from her university, and we'd like to take this opportunity to allow you to introduce yourself a bit more and your background. Maybe you can tell us about your experiences with English and English pronunciation, or if there's anything in particular that you've learned or that you wish to share today, not only with your peers, but with the global English community.
Thank you for giving me the floor, Erica. So I've been a little bit privileged to have English sessions in my school and as well as in my college. But I think I have been a bit of insecure because of my English accent when I see the global world and how it is pronounced and how the American English and British English works. But yeah, I have been, it was my utmost pleasure to be a part of the MOOC, as I mentioned before too. So I learned so many things from the exercises and the resources given in here. So the one thing that I appreciate the most was to understand the rhoticity, as I even commented about in the week too. And about the silent words for where to understand why they are so. In addition to it, I think the peer review helped me a lot because it was a great help in week 1 assignment. I really appreciated the comments of my fellow learners for the review. One comment was about that I am a speedy communicator, so which is quite true. So I have been currently working on it and for the better intelligibility. So that helped me a lot. And I think I've been enjoying the MOOC overall. And I think I'm in week 4 right now. So very excited to just have it complete.
That's great. And I also must say I'm a native speaker and I struggle with intelligibility with how fast I speak sometimes. So I think it's a lesson we can all learn for sure. Okay, so moving on, I wanted to mention one more thing. So this run, we received a number of questions regarding mentorship with the MOOC. So Laura, maybe could you mention exactly what a mentor is and what we're looking for in our mentors?
I was thinking that maybe we can share the question or the answer to the question, because I think that since you have been mentoring a lot, that you know perhaps more, so you have perhaps more insight than me as to what it involves or the experiences that you've had. But so I will start with the first part of the response. So what we're looking for regarding mentors, so it's to us what is very important. So what we're looking for is, in the first instance, we like it very much if you speak a native language other than we do. Because when I created the MOOC, this online course, I attempted to provide for as many people as I could, speaking various native languages, but my knowledge is limited. So my knowledge of the languages that our two guests here speak is very limited. I know I can read about it in books, but I have no experience of your languages. So for us, it is important in the first instance that we have mentors who speak, as I was saying, languages other than we do, because first of all, we can learn from the input you provide. So you can tell us about the challenges that speakers have speaking your native languages, but also about how English is used in the region where you're from. And so we can use that to actually improve the MOOC. And the second thing, I temporarily forgot what I was going to say. So that's, oh yeah, and also, yeah, so that is the, and also that for us to have mentors with various native languages then will help us to, for you then to help participants in the course. So if we have somebody from Indonesia in the course and they're asking questions, then it's relatively difficult for me to answer those questions because I'm not a speaker of that language. But if I have, like we have now, somebody from Indonesia, then we can ask our mentor, could you help the learner in our MOOC with this particular problem? And the same goes for languages that are spoken in India. And that's why, I started the MOOC, and then Amrita joined, and then Alyssa and Erica joined. And this year we have Sophia and Anna-Lotte, and it's great to have Anna-Lotte for various reasons, but also because she is a native speaker of Dutch, so she can help Dutch learners of English in the course, and because Sophia is a native speaker of Spanish as it's spoken in Argentina. And so she can help Spanish-speaking learners within the course. So that's what we find important, or that's what we're looking for in the first instance. And also wanted to say that you do not necessarily need to be a teacher of English. So you do not need to have a lot of experience teaching English already. So for example, before they joined the MOOC, Alyssa and Erica did not have, I guess, maybe not any experience teaching English, or very little at least. But we can guide you. And I have to say now, Alyssa and Erica actually know a lot about English pronunciation and how to help how to help learners in the course. And so we can guide you being a mentor, and so we can guide you how to answer questions that are being raised within the course. Yeah, so this is what we're looking for, I would say, regarding mentors in the first instance. And perhaps Alyssa and Erica, you would like to add to this?
I see that both Erica and I went to you. Erica, you go ahead.
Yeah, that was we were both taken by our politeness there, trying to join at the same time, and then neither of us. Okay, well, yeah, I think that is a kind of perfect way of putting it. At least in my experience, I think the way that I think about what's important to a mentor is really just a willingness to help. In my experience, like Lara said, a lot of us are blessed enough to have technical knowledge with regards to linguistics. But aside from that, like Lara said, we don't speak all of the languages. So it's possible that I can give someone, or one of us can give someone the information that they need. But if we're not familiar enough with their questions, because most people aren't able to give a really specific linguistic, example of a question, it's hard for us to find exactly how to help. So having all of us here and having all of these eyes to read and understand what's being asked means that we can get the information out, because at the end of the day, I think it's less about knowing exactly the answer to all the questions than it is understanding the question. The answers can be found. What we need is perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, I would completely agree, Erica. Thank you. And I agree with what you're saying. And I think as far as the mentorship, there's strength in numbers, and there's strength in having a mentor network, and us also being able to learn from each other, just as Erica and I learn from each other, or also learn from Anna-Lotte and Sophia, with all of our native language backgrounds and all of our different educational backgrounds. So we welcome, as Laura said, and as Erica said, people from different backgrounds of education levels and different native languages, because it only helps us also make the MOOC a more inclusive space. And that's one of our main goals. So if you would be interested, we would love to hear from you. You can email us, or we also have a form that you can fill out, which I think Erica will also mention later on. So there are ways in which you can reach out to us, and for becoming a mentor, or for any reason at all concerned with English. So thank you for that. And I would like to move on just to the next section, where we have a special announcement, one of the fun things of today. So I'm going to give the floor to Sophia and ask if she would like to make one of our special announcements for today.
Sure. So, throughout each one of the runs of the MOOC, we are happy to see that there's a lot of participants that interact with each other. They create this beautiful community surrounding English pronunciation learning. And, it's really nice to see that the platform that Laura has created continues to grow, and it has become a space where everyone that is interested in learning English pronunciation, they can come together and help each other learn and grow. And, we really like to see that it's not just individuals doing their own journey with English pronunciation, but it's a collective, and we're all working together. So we would like to highlight this aspect of our community. And I think Anna-Lotte can continue this train of thought.
Yes, so we would like to announce congratulate a winner for an upgrade, and this time the winner is Mascana Michelle. Congratulations on winning a free update for the MOOC course. Really thank you for helping us to build this platform and for sharing your meaningful experiences with English pronunciation. We hope that the upgrade of the MOOC course material will continue to help you achieve your English pronunciation goals. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Mascana. This is why we are also so glad that you could join us today, because we're happy to be able to share this news with you in real time.
Very much. I'm really happy because I can learn it again, and anytime I want to. Just a repetition is a must, I think.
I'm glad you can forgive our slight deception, but really you were so insightful in your comment and in your interactions with the other learners. We are absolutely delighted that we have these opportunities to assign a winner every year for these little upgrades. So I hope you enjoy. We all do.
So to provide you with more information about how that will work with the free upgrade for the MOOC platform, you can send us an email on moocenglishpro@gmail.com, and we will reach out to you via email to award you with the upgrade and to establish any other further information that might be necessary. But we hope it will be really useful to you, and we do really appreciate the fact that you know, as Sophia said, not only were you on your own journey with English pronunciation, but you were also you left comments that were insightful for other learners. And even the fact that you were willing to join us here today and to pose your questions to Laura and is also something that's so helpful for the community. So yeah, we wanted to thank you for that.
I also wanted to say congratulations, Mascana. And next to that, I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of our other participants and learners for their comments also, because they were very important to us.
Thank you. And I think, yeah, this is something that I continuously say as I've been a mentor for the MOOC the past 2 years, but I also just want to mention it briefly now, is the fact that as a mentor and as someone who is still pursuing her education, it's been really inspiring for me. And also, a side note, as someone who is studying during the pandemic in a time where I was completing much of my studies at home, as I'm sure much of you did, or are, of course, on the MOOC, doing it in your own time, in your own home. It was very inspiring for me to see how dedicated people were on the platform to sharing their own experiences, to reaching out to each other, to building a strong network online. And I think that's something that for me as a mentor and just as a student myself has been invaluable to witness. So I want to thank all of you watching for growing in the community, and also for inspiring someone halfway across the world, maybe in Amsterdam, in her own student experience. So yeah, just wanted to end on that note. And I would like to maybe ask Erica if she has any closing note at this time as a mentor as well.
I think that we've covered it all, but really, again, we are highlighting one of our learners, but all of you are what make the MOOC what it is. That environment that you guys create for each other, that sense of community, that helping each other is what makes all of this possible. So again, thank you. And thank all of you for your role, and you can continue this. We've mentioned it a million times in the comments, but feel free to join the Facebook groups, to follow the Instagrams, and keep on holding on to that community that you've built, because you have the unique opportunity to be in a situation where all of you are working towards the same goal. So there, you can help each other get there. And I know it's a lot less scary to practice with someone who is also practicing. And it can also help you guys learn to adapt to your speech partner as well, which is such a big part of intelligibility. Okay.
Yeah, and if you're curious about our social media platforms, we always include the links to those on the MOOC platform, so you'll be able to find us there. We also have a Facebook group where it might be a good opportunity for you to reach out to other participants in the course to continue, as Erica mentioned, practicing with each other even after the 4 weeks of this course ends. And we also often post additional resources or tips, or you could always reach out to us if you have a specific question, things that might help you continue your language learning journey after these 4 weeks are over. So thank you very much, Laura, for answering all the questions. Thank you so much to everyone who joined in on today, to the Mentor Network, and to our special guests, especially. If you've missed this live session, you can, or were only able to watch part of it, you can always watch it back on our YouTube channel. And please share this information with your fellow participants as well, if you know of people who weren't able to join at this time. It's difficult to, with time differences, for everybody to be available at this time, I understand. So we will always make it available on our YouTube platform, and we will post the link on the MOOC as well. Also, if you do want to become a mentor, if anything we were saying during this session spoke to you, or if you're interested or just want a bit more information, don't forget to fill in the application form, and all of that information will also be on Future Learn on the MOOC. So on behalf of the VU and of Future Learn and our team, we wish you all good health and good luck, and thank you for joining us today.